Hello folks, and welcome to another Richard Head Longbows video. You may remember last week we took a look at some basics of using taper tools. Taper tools such as the plastic taper tool here, which was one diameter of shaft. So if you want to do different diameters, you've got to buy several different tools, or there is a multi-tool which has got these different little sized collets here which will allow you to do different diameter of shaft. I'll put those videos up on the screen so you can look at the basics of using them. Now, one of the problems that people have with using these sorts of tools is the fit, because there are so many companies now producing either tools or B, producing different types of pile, and they may say have different manufacturing processes, and the depth of the hole slightly different, the widths, and the general sizes do seem to vary, only slightly, but it's enough to make the fit, the distance between where the pile sits on and where the rest of the shaft actually starts, can be quite varying, can be quite different. You're not getting the flush fit that perhaps you'd like to get. So we're going to take a quick look at some of the ways that you can alter the shaft. These are hands-on ways, so they're a little bit more complex. So if you're not that confident, maybe it's not for you, but those of you who like to fiddle, like to get it a bit more accurate, well, that's what we're going to take a look at here, and I hope this helps.
Having cut the nock end, we now need to cut the arrow shaft to length, ready to use the taper tool again to cut a longer taper to fit the brass pile. So we're going to use the longer blade that's at the more shallow depth. I'll show you with these tools just how far it cuts the taper. We've noticed that they don't really cut a long enough taper, so I'm going to mark on the shaft the depth of the tapered hole in the pile. Mark that with pencil, you can see that, and then use the taper tool to cut that taper. So here we go again. Again, we keep turning until it won't cut any more, which is about there. So that's cut a taper which fits the pile, fits fine, but I don't know whether you can see there, the pencil line is quite a long way from the end of the brass pile, which means that the taper doesn't go right to the end of the taper that's in the pile, so we've not got as much glue area as we would really like. And with very hard bosses, you need the pile really well glued on to stop it coming off in the boss. So I'm going to show you how to overcome that with this tool, so I'll need to cut that off first. Right, having cut that end off, which we've only done for demonstration purposes, obviously you wouldn't need to do that yourself, I'll show you how we can get a longer taper to fit into the pile. So I'll mark the depth again. So that's about the depth we're trying to get, so there's plenty of glue area. So what I'll do now is to use the blade that we used to put the plastic nock on, that very steep angle blade, cut with that first. That's now stopped cutting, and now use the other blade. Take some bit more off, and that's cut right up to the line now, but it's still not quite there because we've got two angles. So all we need to do is get a file, just take the shoulder off between the two angles, I'll just remark where the pencil line was. It's a little bit of a fiddle, but you get a much bigger glue area. So now we put the pile on, it's getting closer to the line. What we'd also do normally is with a rasp just make some score marks in it, which will also help the glue to adhere, so you don't push all the glue out. So that's getting much closer to the pencil line. It's not perfect, but you've got a much longer, if you by the time you've pushed the pile on, it's much closer to the line, so you've got the end of the shaft almost down to the end of the hole in the pile. You can fiddle around a bit and get a better fit. Depends how much time you want to spend, but the more time you spend getting it right, the better glue fit you'll get on it. And then make sure you put some score marks in it so that when you put the pile on, you don't push all the glue out. And before you fit the piles, make sure you clean them out with meths or something. There's often machine oil in them, and if you leave that in, the glue won't stick to it. So having pushed that in, you're now getting much closer to that pencil line. So it means the wood shaft goes right to the bottom of the hole in the pile. This is the taper I've just cut with the tool for the brass pile. It does fit fine. The reason we were showing you another way to get a longer taper is to get a bigger glue area, but this is okay. Sometimes manufacturers of piles, different manufacturers, will have a slightly different angle inside. Because this is the most commonly used taper tool, the most commonly available, we were just showing you a way to get that longer taper. So that's fine, fits okay, a good quality glue, clean the pile out well, and it works fine, no messing around. If you want to spend a little bit more time, as we showed you earlier, then you'll get that fit much closer to the pencil line, which is the depth of the hole in the pile. So it's entirely up to you.